Good morning, everybody.
Good morning to all of you. This is Senior Scientific Officer from the Department of Science, Technology and Environment, Government of Puducherry. I request all the participants to mute your mic, please, as well as close the camera for free flow of data. And the meeting will start in another 2 to 3 minutes. The expert is expected to join at the earliest. Please cooperate. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Sir has joined. Expert, no, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Shall we start the program, sir?
Yeah. Please.
Okay. Thank you,
Hello.
sir. Thank you so
Please
much.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy morning to all of you. I think we can start the
Hello.
program. And
morning, sir.
This is Savai
Morning,
Alfred,
good
Senior
morning.
Scientific Officer in the Department. Sir has joined. Expert, no, sir? Science, Technology, and Puducherry. Yeah. And extend warm welcome the program, sir.
Yeah. Please.
Great expert member. Okay, thank you,
Hello.
sir. Thank you so
Please
much.
go ahead.
Yes, Mohan. Yeah. Who immediately agreed to give. Happy morning to all of valuable talk on this. I think we can start the
Hello.
program. And also, I welcome all
Morning, good
senior
morning.
scientific officers in the department. Join expert, no, sir. Science, technology, and
Yeah.
yeah. And extend warm welcome the program, sir.
Yeah. Please.
Great expert member. Okay, thank you,
Hello.
sir. Thank you so
Please
much.
go ahead.
Yes, Mohan. Yeah. We have to do a lot for the happy morning to all of valuable talk generation. I think we can start the
Hello.
program. And also, I welcome all the scientific officers. Water monitoring join. It's commemorated on 18th of September every year. And extend warm welcome the program. It is an international education and outreach program. Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Please
much.
go ahead.
Yeah. We have to do a lot great public awareness. Happy morning to all of us of generation on this water. We can start the program. And also I welcome all the girls to conduct water monitoring join. It's commemorated of the local water September every year. And that is a warm welcome in the program. It is an international education and outreach program.
Hello. Please go
Each
ahead.
changes, we have to do a lot great public awareness. Happy morning to all of us in monitoring the water. We can start the program. And also I welcome all the girls to conduct water monitoring join. Most commemorated of the local water September every year. And that is a warm welcome the program. It is an international education and conducted by
Please go ahead.
we have to do a lot great public awareness. Happy morning to all of us in monitoring the water. We can start the program. And also I welcome all the girls to conduct water monitoring. Most commemorated of the local water September every year. And that is a warm welcome the program. It is an international education and conducted by
Please go ahead.
we have to do a lot great public awareness. Happy morning to all of us in monitoring the water. We can start the program. And also I welcome all the girls to conduct water monitoring. Most commemorated of the local water September every year. And that is a warm welcome the program. It is an international education and conducted by
Please go ahead.
we have to do a lot great public awareness. Happy morning to all of us in monitoring the water. We can start the program. And also I welcome all the girls to conduct water monitoring. Most commemorated of the local water September every year. And that is a warm welcome the program. International education and conducted by
Please go ahead.
we have to do a lot great public awareness. Happy morning to all of us in monitoring the water. We can start the program. And also I welcome all the girls to conduct water monitoring. Most commemorated of the local water September every year. And that is a warm welcome the program. International education and conducted by
Please go ahead.
we have to do a lot great public awareness. Happy morning to all of us in monitoring the water. We can start the program. And also I welcome all the girls to conduct water monitoring. Most commemorated of the local water September every year. And that is a warm welcome the program. International education and conducted by
Please go ahead.
Happy morning to all of us in monitoring the water. We can start the program. And also I welcome all the girls to conduct water monitoring. Most commemorated of the local water September every year. And that is a warm welcome the program. International education and conducted
Please go ahead.
non-government organizations. Happy morning to all of us in monitoring the water. We can start the program. And also I welcome all the girls to conduct water monitoring. Most commemorated of the local water September every year. And that is a warm welcome the program. International education and conducted by very non-government organizations. knowledge and non-government organizations with the participants.
Lesson for me. To talk about a topic on this World Day of mainly monitoring, environmental monitoring, and they specifically asked me to talk about the river water quality measurement and issues. So what I thought is that what is a new development, or one has to now worried about those things which are being looked into it, and that's what is called, my title of my talk is Emerging Contaminants in River Water Quality. So issues and measurement, because this we have not been talked about it earlier, because we didn't have the measurement protocol, and also we don't have the, at that time, the instruments, what are the technology, what it is not available to measure this. And these emerging contaminants are very much smaller quantity, microgram per liter or less than nanogram per liter, where it causes more problem than milligram per liter. So that's why we are now more concerned about it. And this comes as an emerging contaminant that we should be aware of it. What will be the kind of issues that you will be getting it based on this emerging contaminant? So I will try to take you. Is that okay? Or hello, there is the. I think some other noise is coming.
I request, this is from a Department of Science, Technology and Environment. I request all the participants to please mute your mic and to close the camera, please, for free flow of data, except the expect lecture, please.
So now let us, my first point in the agenda is, let us look at the rivers, what the rivers are supposed to be and what is happening to that. I think this is all of us would, yes, we never care about this river. Whenever we are just seeing it, it looks pressure and so on, but there is a lot of things that it is happening. So let me first go through what is river and what it functions and what is the problem that it is there. Now, how the second one that I will go on, how the pollution of the river water is getting polluted, and I'll talk about the emerging contaminant, and then we'll see what are the ways that you can treat it, and then let us make a conclusion on it. So I just take you the journey of looking at the river little more in a different angle. So let us look at river. This is a main signature of the nature where it is started moving. Okay, it is not that only one point that it is there. So rivers are considered as signature of nature. If rivers are good, the nature will be good as well. So this is a very pleasant thing to look at it. Okay, so some of the rivers which are, this is Kerala, and there are some rivers where it's also in Tamil Nadu, and this is Ganga, and there are many rivers that you can see whenever you go. There is a, you will really feel good about on this. So this is the original river without having any pollution. So even Ganga River, this is taken on the upstream side, mainly on the Rishikesh side. So that it was very good. So maybe going down, it gets polluted and so on. So the clean rivers are like this. So there is no, it is really crystal clear. So this is this was taken in Kuttalam, and these were the. So now, if you look at the river, what it is happening? It serves a lot of purpose. Okay, so the upstream catchment, then we start constructing the dam. Okay, so that itself causes some problem. Okay, but anyhow, we need food security. So we have to move for dam. But irrigation and hydro electricity requirement should not compromise on ecological need. We just somehow forgot this ecological need, which are there. We talk about riparian right on the downstream side, but more than riparian right, this is their ecological right. So that I think we are missing it in this particular system. And floodplain, like the terrain which is habitat for animals like the Indian rhino, requires periodic flooding to maintain them. So this rhino cannot live if the water is going only in a small channel. It should go as a river, then only it will be looking at. Then the sediment fluxes are critical to maintain habitat for special species such as gharial, and reduced freshwater flows in the estuaries can affect coastal and marine process as well as fish production and livelihood of fisherfolk. And coastal mangroves growth on sediment brought by river. The mangroves, I think Pondicherry have a lot of work on this, and especially Annamalai University, they do quite a lot. And that protects a lot of not only even the tsunami, that mangroves have protected a lot. So each one in the river, there is some purpose what it is being served. So I think we have forgotten that particular one. We are more assuming that the river is granted for it, and river, unfortunate property of river is it's a good solvent. For good thing also, for prayer also we use, but for discharge of effluent also we use this river. That is where the problem comes into picture. So it starts from, it is a one thing to connect mountain to sea, and in between that it serves a purpose. But unfortunately, we are only one of the species out of some around 10,000 species. But we always take that priority, or we dominant, and then try to make the other people suffer, or other animals and other ecosystems are suffering. That's the first point that I would like to drive out of it. So you can just see the way that it is being formed, and the meandering, and this itself, nobody can predict it. Even we have models and all those things, but it is not possible. There is so many factors that it is happening. So it's a great sculpture of the river scheme. So one would really appreciate on this. So you can just see this is on the sides, and even the continuous flow of water and sediment is integral to conservation of endangered species such as gharial and some water bird on the Chambal River. So even if I take sediment out of it, or sand mining, which is a problem. So we never know that we wanted to build houses. We take out sand, but that creates some problem on all these birds and also the gharial, or it's kind of a crocodile. So I just to measure the thing that we can just see, this river also changes. It is not a stationary process. Changes on its dynamic based on the flow, and there are so many factors. Still, people have not studied fully on the thing, and based on the flood, it will also be changing. So you can just see 1976, the curve was meandering was like this. Then 2015, 94, it was different, and 2001. So that means every time that it makes a change on its own to adjust with the environment. But there are many fishes and there are many animals, microfish. All those things are living there. And if I start putting a poison in it, that you are not spoiling the river water, but also spoiling everything. But what will happen? One of the good things with the fish is it can take up any contaminant up to certain level, but it will accumulate it, what is called bioaccumulation. So if you put lead or maybe anything, the lead will be or mercury, it will get accumulated in the fish. And unfortunately, we go to the fish market and take the one piece, big piece, and then eat it. That means we are taking all the mercury what it has been in the river has been accumulated by fish, and you are taking it out. So it makes it very simple. The language, whatever you do as a harmful to the river, again it will come back to us. Okay, so I'm not saying that you should not be a non-vegetarian, but this will happen. If I'm polluting the river, finally the pollution comes back. It will be a cycle. So this point that we should remember. And the fish also migrate upstream pond, and it can have any material, whatever it is available. So one thing that we are more concerned about is a river. I think three things which are very now it become endangered or vulnerable, which were originally our native species. So one is the gharial. So this gharial is critically endangered. So now it is not going to be. It is mainly available in the North Indian rivers, so which are being. And on the other hand, the second one, which is endangered, it's a narrow-headed soft-shell turtle, which you may not be able to see anywhere in other country. And Indian skimmer is another bird which is very like a kingfisher. This is also vulnerable. We are reducing it. What is the reason for this particular one? So the reason is we don't have. We never think that river is having a river is a house for many animals and birds. Okay, so this gharial, this thing, they build a nest and then put the egg. Okay, so and suddenly if I am releasing water from upstream dam, that is one of the problems with the dam also. It's not the natural one, but we make a release. So all these things will be going out and it becomes waste. And similarly, the submergence of skimmer breeding habitat, they do all those things live within the river. So that birds also will be due to unseasoned and sudden release of water from the dam. This also gets endangered because it is not people are killing it, but it is almost one gharial puts around 20 eggs, and if 20 has gone, then again the generation is out. Then it may be taking a lot of time and so on. And again, if it is happening the same, so one has to really look at it. The river is not only carrying water; it is a okay. Not only fish we know, but there are many animals for which the birthplace and death place, everything is river. One has to be very careful on this. And in fact, there is a research which was put on even on the side of the eastern coast. In fact, there is a river which is going. This is a geological thing. You can just see a river in the sea itself. It is still flowing it down, but I'm not sure. But and also it was. This is based on the tectonic movement and so on. Originally, the river was going, and now it is coming over like this. So there are possibility that the rivers are also there below the sea. One has to be very careful on this. So then, how can we protect the rivers? So, or what we are really doing it, and then what way we need to protect the rivers. So the Indian rivers have undergone and are likely undergo large-scale transformation due to human activities, and also climate change is adding the factor to that. The complex interaction of climate change, land use change, hydrological and sediment alteration, even that itself makes a lot of impacts on distribution and demography of many aquatic species. Now, we are also making a river water pollution, which due to discharge of wastewater and industrial discharge, would make the river almost like dead. So, we are almost killing the river. if you look at Indian rivers, it is 95% of the rivers are polluted at some stretches are only some very rare species, rare rivers which are there on the unaccessible for people that only is living unpolluted. So that's one point that we should remember. We are already undergoing climate change, land use change, hydrological and sediment alteration. That itself become a problem for aquatic species and ecosystem service. In addition, river water pollution, it is like poisoning what we are doing. Adding to that, we are now concerned about in river water pollution. Earlier, we were under the impression only the discharge sewage is going down, which may have biological oxygen demand or organic waste, what it will be there. But now there is new concern, what is called emerging contaminants. These are all getting into water bodies, severely affecting the aquatic life. So let us see how it will be affecting the aquatic life. Need multidisciplinary studies on policies. I think we have to start working on it. In India, we have started a little bit, but we need to go ahead a little more on this, especially on emerging contaminant. In fact, it is more dangerous than the BOD, COD, and other kind of thing, and what it is there. So, and what are the river water pollution sources? I think all of you know that this is a very simple point. One is point source and non-point source. Point source is mostly at a point that you leave the wastewater thing. Anytime you are supposed to treat it and put it, and that also is not a good system that like 25 milligram per liter. I give as a rule, but as a pollution control board, that's a rule that they have to follow. But if there are many industries on the sides of the river, each one is putting 25 milligram without enough space between the two industries. So then automatically the river will get more than 100 milligram per liter very quickly within a kilometer. So that is one thing that we are not concerned about that particular one. So and in addition, there are multiple non-point source, which is agricultural runoff. Mainly, agricultural runoff was not a problem earlier. Now we are using fertilizer, herbicide, fungicide, and also the all the thing that what we are trying to use it on the pesticide, everything that comes as a runoff. That becomes a problem. That's also one of the part of the emerging contaminant. So this is a non-point source where from the cropland, what it comes or whatever it comes from the land or urban areas, and whereas point source is mostly from factory or from a sewage treatment plant or whatever it is, it comes over to the water bodies. Okay, so these two are very important. So you can just see now the conditions of river. Originally, we have seen a good river, but now the condition of the river, this is not taken somewhere else. It is within Madras only. And you can just see this is even Kerala. And if you are taking a closer look. So now, if you take any river, organic waste, inorganic industrial waste, new chemical every year we are inventing, and you find a place here. Heat and dissolved oxygen, that is another municipal waste, agricultural waste, erosion and sedimentation, oil and grease, and emerging contaminant. So now, adding to that emerging contaminant, which will be much more thing. So my purpose is to introduce what is emerging contaminants. So why we are talking about so much on this? So if you look at our sustainable development goal, the 17th sustainable development goal, out of that, 7 are concerned with water. Okay, so you take zero hunger or good health and well-being, clean water sanitation, responsible consumption and production, and life below water, life on land, and climate action. All of them are connected with water. And the facts are every year or even now 1.4 billion people live without clean drinking water. 7 million people die yearly from the disease linked to water. Half of the world's river lakes are badly polluted. 450 million people in 29 countries facing water shortage, and we are also going in 2025. Will be our country also will be adding one, and by 2025, 2.5 billion people will face severe water shortage. So that means there is something that we have to protect. This would rise to the occasion. So for that, if I want to say health of the river, I have to make measurements. So if I go to a doctor, he will do all those measurement, temperature, everything depends on whether it is complication and so on. So this is little more emerging contaminant is a complicated thing. Okay. So one has to have a very high measurements protocol. So that is what, but at the same time, even small amount can make lot of harm. That is the only thing with emerging contaminant. So every drop of water counts. So I think we should have the river like this. Okay? So the availability of affordable clean water represents the greatest global challenge of our time. Throughout the journey from source to sea, water management meets many challenges, infrastructure failure, the need for treatment innovation. Because more contaminants, more treatment you have to innovate. And continual measurement of its quality is a key to understanding sudden and gradual changes in chemical and biological quality of water and for taking reactive remedial action in the case of contamination. So river quality is nothing but river health and which is a river, it's a nature signature. That is what I will say. So now let us look at what is this emerging contaminants. Okay. So I put the electricity because it's like the emerging contaminant is one of the shocking thing. Okay. So one has to be aware of that there is something there if we are not taking care of. So what is emerging contaminant? US Geological Survey defines emerging contaminant as any synthetic or naturally occurring chemical or even microorganism they have added into it that's not commonly monitored in the environment but has the potential to enter to the environment and cause unknown or suspected adverse ecological and human health. So please remember that there are good wordings have been put on here. So unknown or suspected adverse ecological and human health effect. Maybe we don't know. Uh, we have to look at it from where the corona comes. So maybe somewhere it may be from that may be one of the emerging contaminant or emerging microorganism contamination. So that is what we may have to look at it. Several aromatic and aliphatic hydrocarbons such as decane, ethylene, nocturnal were detected in the storm water or in the river water. Some of them are used in fuels, while others are plasticizers are used in precursors for perfume and flavoring agents. And please remember, nowadays the usage of perfume is very high, and every perfume will contain at least one or minimum some 4 or 5 emerging contaminants. Not only perfume, you go to beauty parlor, everyone who is working in office, so in fact there is a new news that it is not ladies are going more to perfume or beauty parlor. Nowadays the number of gents who are going to beauty parlor has increased quite a lot because all office goers are now going for beauty parlor. What the uh, cream and everything that personal care products what we are using contains all these things. It will be a precursor for emerging contaminant. So automatically he washes 2 or 3 times, okay, and all of them come to wastewater, and from the wastewater it comes to river. That is where we are very much worried. I am not saying that you have to close down the beauty parlor, but you know there are natural system, natural beautifying agent is there. We should go look at that something little better way rather than lot of chemicals what we are trying to use. Due to there are 3 important nature of this emerging contaminant. One is it is persistent. So that means it is not undergoing some changes and it will be persistent. If I put it in a river, it will be there for a long time. You can't dissolute or you cannot, it may go to somewhere, but it will be persistent as the same harmful chemical for a longer time. Like plastic, from there phthalate that it comes. Phthalate will be there if you are putting plastic. Plastic may take around 1,000 years to disintegrate. So that means it is persistent. The second is bioaccumulative. So these all can be any biological system. It can go there and then start accumulating and then toxic in nature. So this will be because of these three characteristics, persistence, bioaccumulative and toxic nature, it poses a great risk to environment and human health. The conventional treatment system is not capable of removing emerging contaminants and requires advanced treatment technology. So, in fact, two or three of our scholars are working on this treatment system for emerging contaminant. And the emerging contaminant is not one or two or three; it is more than 20,000 emerging contaminants are there. So you may have to look at that. So it is emerging contaminants are the pollutants of growing concern. They are mainly organic compounds. From where it comes? It comes from pesticide, pharmaceutical, personal care product. Even we are using some hormones, some tablets or some kind of a medicine activate the hormones, or even genetically modified vegetables. We were all very strong in stop it, but we are not removing it from the medicine. Plasticizer, food additives, food preservatives, laundry detergent, surfactant, disinfectant, flame retardant. You can just see this every day we are using it. Okay, so pesticide may be farmer. You look at on this pharmaceutical, personal care product, hormone, plasticizer. Plasticizer is in everything. And food additives, that's why if you go to fast food, it will be more food additives will be there. Food preservatives, laundry detergent, surfactant, disinfectant, flame retardant. So maybe and other organic compounds that were found recently in natural wastewater stream generated by human and industrial activity. So now it's a fact. It is not that we are saying something which is going to come. It is already there. Only thing is earlier we were not able to monitor because we don't have the measuring capability or the instruments are not there. Now the instruments have come. So these are all coming out as a surprise for us. Okay. So the substance is suspected of posing a significant risk the aquatic environment, meaning there is reliable evidence of hazard and a possible exposure of aquatic organisms and mammals. But there is not enough information to assess countrywide for the substance, especially for our country. And because we don't have a lot of data, insufficient monitoring data or data of insufficient quality, not sufficiently modeled exposure data to decide whether to prioritize this. This also is the fact what we may need to go for a major way of put out. So now let us look at what are the ways that the emerging contaminants in Indian waters, especially river. So one analysis shows in India the contribution of emerging contaminants in aquatic environment mostly 57% pesticide, okay, 17% pharmaceutical, 15% is surfactant, 7% is personal care product, and 5% is phthalate. And the 7% is increasing quite a lot. Okay, so several studies ascertain the presence of they call it as active pharmaceutical ingredient, personal care product PCP, API, pesticide, endocrine disrupting animal chemicals, EDC, and artificial sweetener. So this is also artificial sweetener what the diabetic people are taking, and that also has some contaminant, emerging contaminant. Okay, so I think all of you know the Delhi-based non-profit Center for Science and Environment reports that 78% of the sewage generated in India remains untreated and is discharged in rivers, groundwater, or lake. That means whatever it comes from wastewater, even not treated and discharged, all will contain this. Even treated water, they are not treating this. pesticide or pharmaceutical surfactant or personal product we are not treating. We are only treating UOD, COD, and to some extent microbial contamination by disease. Nothing more than that. So that is where the problem comes into picture. So there are immediately there are 42 chemicals which are more dangerous for human health that has been prioritized by European Commission. Okay, so that means these 42 chemicals are, but we have not yet observed all these 42 chemicals. So European community, they have now started the entire, all the countries, they have to monitor these 42 chemicals and then make a report to the government. So you can just see this is a spectrum of NMR. So you can just to look at on uh, different ECs. I'm just putting, so the names are all, maybe don't worry about the names, but including the endosulfan. Okay, so this is Kerala now. There is a lot of problem. This comes from the pesticide and fungicide and so on. So there are many ciprofloxacin, so many other things that what we are working. So that means in a river, this is a river water analysis. We have almost all the thing what is there. And more importantly, there are these chemicals within emerging contaminant. They themselves will have a reaction to it because they are all after all organic chemicals. So when they try to react, and in between there is a transformation product or intermediate product also will come, and that will have a higher estrogenicity. Okay, so estrogenicity is what is that? It is more on trying to change your hormone. Okay, so that means it was mainly the point is I'm not. We have some slides. Uh, Suppose if you are continuously taking it, anytime they have experimented or they have found from fish community fishing in the river, many of the male fish has become the female fish. Okay, so that means there is no production afterwards. Okay, so this is a major estrogenicity change. Okay, so it may be it is not going to take much time to come into human also. If we are not concerned about this emerging contaminant, after some time there may be more girls than the boys, or it can make the same change in girls also. It may make it as so. There will be a change in the nature that it may be looking at it. One has to be very careful. Here, this will have a larger impact on the society. So this is what the different products, what it is, pesticide and nanomaterials and endocrine disturbing hormones and so on. So this is how the pathways of ECs into environment. You can see that residential community to industries, hospital, all of them are coming into assuming that it is getting to CETP or wastewater treatment plant. It comes as something goes into landfill. There again it is come as a leachate and then also it is joining the pathways. And agriculture farms, agriculture land farm, it comes to river. This also from the river. Then you are taking water treatment plant. Water treatment plant also we are not removing energy contaminant. So again we are bringing the same thing which is getting accumulated. We also have some property of bioaccumulation. That's why kidney stone or something that it comes. It will start accumulating, and then if it goes beyond certain level, then it becomes a problem. Okay, so that is one point that we should remember here. So there are 100,000 chemicals. What it is there right now, and 10 transformation products from each. So you can multiply by that, and 20 million species that it is there, and 22,000 billion exposure scenarios without considering different concentrations, simultaneous occurrence of chemical, any type of ecological interaction. This These are all need to be studied. I think there is a lot of research that we can go ahead with these emerging contaminants. So pharmaceutical or we are taking prescription and over the counter or even sometime under the counter, everything is there, and veterinary medicine. And this is detected in water. You have steroids, hormones, antibiotics, antidepressants, analgesic, antimicrobial, statin, antipyretic, and antinoplastic. All of them are found in final place. And please, it is not stopping there. It goes into ocean. And ocean, you see a lot of plastic. And sometime, after some time, it may become a emerging contaminants or food in test. So, is there some concern? Yes, it is. Some studies have documented occurrence in low levels in salt and finished in drinking water. And pharmaceuticals are designed to be biologically active even at very low levels. So automatically, even at low level, the pharmaceutical contaminant or emerging contaminant will be acting on you. So if it comes to you, it will be acting. And please remember, any drug, any tablet, what you are taking, you talk with any pharmaceutical person. It is only 10%, maximum 10% is for your disease. Remaining 90%, so many other things, what it is there. Okay, so you may have to be very careful on it. And more importantly, if you look at it, as you become age, you will use more pharmaceuticals. And automatically the impact also will be more on people who are older people. So one has to be very careful on it. Older people as well as for smaller child, this will be much more dangerous as well. Associated to risk to human and environment, there's still a lot of research are going. If you go to any lab in USA, there will be somebody working on emerging contaminants. So I think we have to start working on that. So this is a challenge. Pharmaceutical are one group of emerging contaminant that itself. So there is design authorization. That's a normal thing. But there are you can change. In fact, there are action on them that they wanted to try to come out with little more concern about emerging contaminant, try to look for some green chemistry and then come out with what can be done. That is what they are also doing research on that. But it is, let us say, personal care product. What are these problems as? Like triclosan, one of our scholars is working on, has worked on it, and then there are some. And trichlorocarbon, so are the commonly used antibacterials in soap, shampoos, and hand sanitizer. So I'm not saying we should not use it, okay? But we have our own traditional thing. If you are using it, there won't be any problem of triclosan or trichlorocarbon. So the occurrence of trichlorosan and carbanes, preservative in cosmetic, commonly used in personal care products. Despite water samples from Kaveri, Vellar, Tambrabarani rivers, and the Pichavaram mangroves in South India, Ramswamy et al. And Vimal Kumar 2018, they said that these are all were found out in the Kaveri river water. And we found triclosan and were detected in the influent and effluent of wastewater treatment plant. So we wanted to see that whether it can be removed, but our wastewater treatment plant is not designed for it. So the presence of benzodrazole, ultraviolet UVs, which are used extensively in personal care products, soap, shampoo, sunscreen, lotion, shaving cream, has been detected in the three major rivers of Tambrabarani and Vellar. Okay, so it is not that only North Indian river or something other countries. We have right now in our. I thought Tambrabarani is a very good river, but there are also a lot of things. Okay, so sorry that. So there are perfluorinated compound, so that also comes. There are stretch of River Ganga, groundwater near Ganga Basin, and also Agar River. So this has been consolidated by Anna University, Kanmani and Matthew. This is very, that means it is not that it is not there. So it is every, many PCBs are there. It has been already detected. So endocrine disturbing chemicals have received wide attention recently due to endocrine system of humans. Special vulnerable group including pregnant mothers, children, and elderly. Phthalate intake has been estimated by analyzing phthalate concentration in urine samples in India, the second highest concentration of 389 nanogram per ml. That means you are using plastic bottle, and plastic bottle water is there. Sometimes the water is there in the shop for more than 5 days or 6 days inside the fridge. So automatically phthalate goes in, and you are very nice, and you wanted to be protective, and you went and buy that water and then drink it, and it is finally coming out as 389 nanogram per ml. So PCBs have been reported to affect the reproductive system. The total PCBs in river Hooghly concentration is, so it is even 0.01 microgram will affect it. So you can imagine this is what it is there. And make their way to the environment through leaching from open dump site, poorly managed landfill, and improperly discarded electronic waste. The concentration of Agar River in Udaipur, estro, which is going to be a mostly endocrine disturbing, is 1.55, which is very, and bisphenol is 0.1. Okay. So that means there is some chance. Similarly, the Gomati River and Kaveri River, and high concentration was observed in Bhavani River and also Noyal River. Noyal, of course, high concentration. Concentration of phthalates in Kaveri River was lower than the Gomati River. So the other emerging contaminants, there are many emerging contaminants. Even the perchlorate concentration in drinking water is very high, and the effluent, you can imagine, effluent water it is 15754. And 90% of the global production of fireworks, the high concentration are reported for groundwater. In that area, the drinking water is much more. They themselves are affected due to air pollution. They are also affected by the groundwater pollution. So firework industries are the source of perchlorate in water. Artificial sweetener is also one of the surplus concentration. River Ganga was reported as 0.05. There are very high, especially the contribution of ASP range of 9.7 to 17.1. That means there are these particular things have come, but still we are drinking water standards we have not included, except only a few pesticides what we have included in the IS standard. But there is a long way to go. Whereas the European Union mainly 42 plus 3 additional compounds, 45 priority compounds with environmental quality standard to be adhered to in aquatic environment. So that means the rivers are so much protected, even for no EC will be there in that. Okay. So US EPA regulates at least 5 contaminants from the system. The regulation of EC is critical. So there is a long way to go. For that, we need first a measured data. So without data, we cannot come out with a standard. So let us look at the treatment methods. So the treatment methods are the predominant ECs. So you can just to see there are many APAs, active pharmaceutical ingredient, personal care product, and there are endocrine disturbing element, pesticide, and artificial sweetener. There are many things that is there in our Indian water. So one thing that what we are trying to use it is advanced oxidation process. It is we are using for trying to solve the contaminants which may be there in the textile wastewater, as well as mainly the plastic. sewage, there are a lot of phthalate what it comes. One of our scholars on that. Then there are some technologies, absorption and so on. So we have to start. So actually the biological treatment may not work. We may have to go for a little more different method. So I just quickly 4 slides. I will just tell what one of the work assessment and modeling of persistent and bioaccumulative emerging contaminants in wastewater. So, mainly to identify and quantify contaminant treated wastewater from ACP and clean the uh, potential contaminant, which is much more dangerous, especially persistent, bioaccumulative, and toxic. Develop an analytical protocol because some of them still we don't have a good protocol. Evaluate. We are also following the EPA, but still there are EPA also there is not much kind of protocol, but or that some instrument which may be costing around 2 crore or 3 crore may not be available here. So we have to come with another protocol which may not be 100%, 90% accuracy, but at least I will be able to do that. To evaluate the efficacy of membrane bioreactor, we followed by filtration of or removal of IECs, develop a risk assessment method. How the risk of this is, that's what. So he has taken Chennai. So we found that these are all the compounds which are identified wastewater, treated wastewater. Pondicherry also definitely it will be there. So somebody has to do. So, and we are taking triclosan and ciprofloxacin. These two are and phthalate is some other student is working on it or phthalic acid. So these two we are trying to come out with some treatment plans, treatment system. So both we have done it, and you can just see the how the system that it is here. You can just see how it is varying. The factor. We have assessment how the is that will be there, and we are also trying to do a microbiological way of bioaugmentation for removal of triclosan, which can increase the degradation system. That's a new good research that scholar has done, and we are able to remove at least around more than 95% of this system based on our treatment methods. Okay, so we have to go for a passive sampling. Okay, so it is not active sampling. We need to look at on the passive sampling, and there are some protocol on that, and we have to validate it. As many of them, we may check in the river water quality, but we have to validate system. So right now, the technologies for emerging contaminant monitoring is now the new techniques that it is coming. So one is the watch list chemical, whatever the 45 or chemicals that it has been put down, or at least minimum of 10 to 12 which are found in Indian water. That I think we have to come out with monitoring. So you have a traditional separation method and compliance monitoring, a single sample, and 4 to 6 weeks study for polar and non-polar organics, and continuing needing to develop real-time monitoring platform. So real-time is much more difficult, but people are now working on it. Look at on the multi-analytic system or real-time monitoring. Okay, so that will anytime if emerging contaminant is going high, then it will try to stop or drinking or whatever. Because most of our drinking water system comes from river, either through infiltration well or whatever it is. And please remember, the sand cannot filter this emerging contaminant because it is in microgram, which will be very, very low. Unless if I want to filter, I should have something lesser size of microgram. So which we don't have in the sand. So that is where Even groundwater is having a lot of emerging contaminants. People have to start now working on it. So the key messages and conclusions I would like to but uh, one is that informed decision making that it is needed on this because we have to make people aware of it. It's not only the scientists who know about it. I think a common person should know about it. How the system, if I am polluting it, it is going to come through maybe a fish carrier or maybe something taking out, or the fish is eaten by hen, and from the hen it will come. There are, it will be cycle. Never think that the pollutant is going somewhere and then it never comes back. It also has a cycle. So that is where the informed decision making in response to the need and manage protect water and be open to new ways of monitoring water for engaging contaminants of concern or emerging contaminants of concern. And there are technologies that we are now working on it, microelectronics, transducer, bioreceptor, and sample analysis. Because it is not possible, this microgram only is there, and if I make a small mistake, I may not be able to detect it. So we have to amplify, and it will be immediately sending a signal kind of as a transducer and the bioreceptor. Then I will be able to find out what it is. So this also is new technology. So my request is that instrumentation engineers should come forward to develop something technology further and integrate technology with data analysis, like artificial intelligence or data mining or the big data, all those things to understand the big problem, okay, especially, and better approach to management of a scarce and valuable. If we don't protect it, there is no point in talking about sustainability. Sustainability has at least eight sustainable development goals are concerned with water. And if I am not protecting that, then automatically eight goals are uh, will not be achieved anytime. So that is where the problem that it is there. So the conclusions are there are presence of species as API, PCPA, SW, pesticide, EDC across the Indian water environment. It is not, and it was observed that it is a predominant and ubiquitous. That means it is there everywhere. The regions near the bulk drug manufacturing hub in Hyderabad was found to contain high levels of antibiotic API and AR. Disease can cause harmful impacts on aquatic, terrestrial wildlife, vegetation, and human communities. Advanced oxidation process and membrane bioreactor, they are all very good. So, incorporation of AOPs also to in STP design, CTP design, or waste treatment plant design to aid the involved. We have to start thinking about that. Okay, I think I have. So let us. My message is: let us protect our river. Let us not pollute it. Each one can do that. It is not that government has to do. So you can just see there are many birds and animals. There it is nice to see them. But if you are gone polluting it, these are all become endangered, including the crocodile. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you will be have any questions. I am not carrying it, but this is a fact. One has to say that it is there. So unless we come out with some method to remove it, if it is like if somebody is having a cancer, it's a fact. We have to make a good treatment, try to save his life. The same way, now the river is getting cancer, and we have to go for treatment. But at least further, let it not aggravate. That's the only point I just want to pass the message. So thank you very much for giving an opportunity to talk to you. And I hope that there are many people many researchers who are there or many students are there, please take up some work on this and then start working on your own, whether in Pondicherry or in Vilupuram or in everywhere, you can just check and then try to remove it. That's what. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Envis, and Siri, Pollution Control Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable and your knowledgeable presentation. Now I ask the participants if you want to clarify any of the doubts or if you can have some queries to ask to the expert, you may please proceed. And you also can post in the chat column also. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We have done STP with advanced factory unit 10% of the electricity exchange operators.
Take Martha.
There is no specific question as such. Chat box. Please. Any question that you can ask or you can keep in chat box. So, no question means either you have understood fully or you have not understood anything. These are the options. I hope that you have. My main aim is to sensitize.
I would like to say that in the chat, Mrs. Bio Vatak, they were all raised a question that they have done STP with advanced oxidation with only 10% of the electricity usage and no operators and able to treat all these contaminants.
Yeah, I think I would like to see that thing, whether they are removing all emerging contaminants. So let us see the results and then based on which we can.
Oh, thanks.
Good.
And Anjali, one more. Is it possible to incorporate the treatment methods of easy with the current wastewater treatment system? And what will be the cost implications there?
Okay. So in the current, like, we call it as tertiary treatment earlier, mainly as a policy, but this should be formed as a part of the secondary treatment itself. Okay? So before you put disinfection or anything, but this would have some technology to remove this, either MBR or advanced saturation. But advanced saturation alone is not sufficient. Many times that what we have found is advanced saturation is good in disintegrating some of the organic chemicals very well, but at the same time, it is not fully removing below the limit, whatever EPA limit or EU limit. So we need to have either maybe we are also checking up with membrane bioreactor with such a low membrane site as well as biochar or bioabsorption. So that things that what we are trying to do to remove completely. But I am just look at on your BioWatch results whether advanced saturation has removed completely the contaminants that we have to. I'll be interested to look at that. Okay, it is necessary if I want to remove it and make the water more. I am saying we have to, before discharging into water body, finally wastewater treatment or any treatment, finally it reaches a water body. Either it may be reaching in a wetland or it may be reaching a small tank or maybe a river. So unless we treat it, then it is very difficult to take the river water and treat it. So we have to treat only on the this particular way. So I think maybe the next generation has to work on only on this, or current generation have to work on this. We may be on the trapping side. Okay, right.
Sir, I
Yeah,
just
that's
want to add a point
Ah.
here. Can I talk to you, sir, now?
Please.
Yes, this is Daksha here from Biowatech, Chennai.
Mm.
And actually, you know, what we have developed the technology is the anaerobic sewage treatment plant, which degrades almost 80 to 90% of the COD, BODs in the water. And further, we follow this lamella clarifier, and the final tertiary treatment we do by using the ozone, which is actually an advanced oxidation technology where we can remove all the other contaminants which you referred in your presentation. So in that case, when we did the water testing in the laboratories, we do have certain test reports where it is completely drinkable standard. But still, you know, we advise the customer to use it for toilet flushing and also for gardening. And drinkable, we ask them to go through the process of passing through the RO. So RO is only when we want to connect that water further for the DM plant, only we follow that process. But otherwise, advanced oxidation removes most of the contaminants. And whatever you mentioned, these contaminants in the presentation, I just now checked it out also, where by using the hydrogen peroxide as a catalyst, we can remove by using this ozone system all these contaminants. What we can do is, you know, we have done more than about 600 projects in Karnataka and also in Tamil Nadu. We can give the sites for the testing purposes in the laboratories, so that, you know, we will also have a testing done by you, where you will also give us input on in case if there is any improvement required, or are you satisfied about this, or something has to be done. Definitely we would love to work with you, sir, for further development on the application. And also we have done treatment in the Madipakam lake and other lakes, where we are using the anaerobic treatment only for such sludge settling, and also tertiary treatment by using the wetland construction. But there, as you mentioned in the presentation, it is only the organic contaminants we were able to degrade. But inorganic contaminants, like what you mentioned, for those processes, definitely we require this advanced oxidation. But when it comes to Indian scenario, the investment on this kind of technologies is the biggest challenge. That is where we need to look at, you know, when we really want to use the water for drinking, then only we go for advanced oxidation with the RO process. In case if it is only for recharging in the ground in the rivers, then automatically these processes are not required. Only organic itself we can degrade it, and then further the soil will take care of the degradation of the contaminants. This is what I feel, and close to about 10-15 projects are done and water bodies as well.
There are 2 or 3 points which I would like to tell. Please don't make a presumption that advanced oxidation will remove completely the emerging contaminant. It will remove, but please make sure that it is in our experience. Whatever you are putting it cannot remove 100%. Okay, please make that particular thing. The second one, by sending it through soil or by groundwater, I need to be checked that this may not be able to get removed. Because even if you are recharging it, it recharges but maybe stuck somewhere, but it is not removed by filtration. Okay, because the size of the pores, what it is there in the soil, is only millimeter. So it cannot be micro level. It cannot remove this particular one only by absorption or something. So one has to be little more careful. It is not that it will remove the emerging contaminant. Emerging contaminant is something that we have to be very, very careful on that. Okay. My request is that let us this advanced oxidation is one good technique which can really go and disintegrate the organic chain or whatever it is. So that way it is very good. Whether you use ozonation or penton or any other way of advanced oxidation are very helpful. We have also proved that it's really helpful. But at the same time, how much that it is removed. But in addition with that, we have to, like, vitamin tonic also I need to take along with the tablet. The same way that advanced saturation should go along with another technique so that the complete removal will be done. But if you are able to achieve it, let me know that. Let me see that by your. Okay. we can have a discussion. Any other question?
Thank you.
I hope that I have answered.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So I think we can conclude, sir,
Yeah, right.
if you permit. So I thank each and every participant for evincing keen interest in attending this program organized by the Puducherry NVSUB, Puducherry. I would like to thank the chairperson, Madam Smitha IAS of the Puducherry Pollution Control Committee for supporting and organizing this webinar on this World Water Monitoring Day. And it is our great pleasure in thanking the expert speaker who has esteemed technical knowledge and vast experience in the field of environment and who has immediately accepted our request. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
And
you. Thank
also I
you.
would like to say that please fill in the feedback form to get the e-certificate. Thank you. And I wish everybody a nice day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Right.
Thank you, sir.
Touch.